Yeah, Keith, I woke up yesterday yesterday today with severe inflammation in my nose.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I don't know if it's allergy or if it's I don't think it's allergy, but no idea why.
Mine was not allergies because of what it looked like, but then when it stopped, it went to that ear, and the hearing just went shh.
Interesting. Yeah, maybe I'll have Sarah look at my ears. Maybe they're
There
filthy.
you go.
Hmm.
I heard she charges a lot though, Chris.
Yeah.
It's expensive. I get a little deal, a little bit. Yeah, we'll work something out.
You do the barter system.
Yeah, yeah. Put on my tab.
You can
Yeah.
always tell her that if she doesn't, she has to do all the housework and all the dishes and all the taking care of the kids. I think she'll come around.
There you go.
You'll
It's a good
discount it
deal.
quick.
Yeah.
Oh, look, we have Mr. Brent coming on.
Hi, Mr. Brent.
Told
There's
you,
that.
there he is.
There he is.
Good morning.
So,
Morning. Look at that guy. Hmm. Looks pretty good this morning.
Yeah, you look sharp, like you got a haircut or something.
No, it's just the shower, so it's just wet. It'll dry off and get a little scrappy.
I wasn't going to say anything, but I thought, well, he doesn't have to wear his cap today because he got his hair fixed.
Well, I knew you were thinking it anyway.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll see in an hour by the time I go on how it is.
Okay, it is ready, Keith, whenever you are.
Okay.
to start out, let's bow our heads for prayer. Before I do that, let me get this taken. There we go. A word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, be with us today as we go over things that you said was going to happen in this planet, and then look at some of the things that's happened in the month of May on this planet. And then we will look at some of the quotes that you gave to your messenger to us. In your name, amen. Well, I haven't done this for a while about the calamities, but when we're all done, I'm going to try to show you a video if it works. I'll have to go out of the PowerPoint and come in and show you this video. And I don't know if you've seen it before. Uh, as we hear the terrible calamities that from week to week that are taking place, I ask myself, what do these things mean? The most awful disasters are following one another in quick succession. How frequently we hear of earthquakes, and we're going to talk about today, and tornadoes, we're going to talk about that, of destruction by fire and flood, both of those two, with great loss of life and property. Yeah, it's cost some money, and in California, I believe that is going to be why some people want some things done. Apparently, these calamities are capricious outbreaks of seemingly disorganized, unregulated forces, but in them God's purpose may be read. They are one of the means by which he seeks to arouse men and women to a sense of their danger. In other words, he's trying to wake us up. And I believe that that message there is also for people that's inside the church. Now, all of these are in in month of May, except for the first earthquake. I have 3 or 4 slots talking about the Myanmar earthquake, and then at the end, if I have a chance, I'll show you a video from that earthquake. The earthquake directly killed up to 52 people in Myanmar and 103 in Thailand, while one person died from shock in Vietnam, so it was widespread. As the earthquake struck during Friday prayer hours, collapsing mosques resulting in the deaths of hundreds of Muslims. And that there is from Wikipedia. And here is a picture of a plane coming with supplies to them. And I believe this is in March. And this is the type of, and I put this in there because this is the type of earthquake that was. A strike-slip fault is a type of fault where two tectonic plates move horizontally past each other rather than up or down. The motion is side to side along the line of the fault, and there's usually little or no vertical movement. A famous example of a strike-slip fault is the San Andreas Fault in California. So you can look at what we're going to happen here in California sometime. In some areas, ground displacement reaches up to 20 feet, damaging roads, railway lines, and infrastructure. And that there is from Petapixel, and that's where that video is from also. From Mrs. White, men in responsible positions will not only ignore and despise the Sabbath themselves, but which means that they know about it, but from the sacred desk will urge upon the people the observance of the first day of the week, pleading tradition and custom in behalf of this man-made institution. They will point to calamities on the land and sea, to the storms of wind and floods, the earthquakes, the destruction by fire as judgments indicating God's displeasure because Sunday is not sacredly observed. These calamities will increase more and more. One disaster will follow close upon the heels of another, and those who make void the law of God will point to the few who are keeping the Sabbath of the fourth commandment as the ones who are bringing wrath upon the world. This falsehood is Satan's device that he may ensnare the unwary. That's from 1904. So first we're going to start talking about the earthquakes. Now, all of these things, if you want to, there's a website, it's called watchers.news. That's where I got almost all of this information from today. Strong 6.4 earthquake hits near the coast of Papua New Guinea. 5,000 people are estimated to have felt very strong shaking. 34,000 moderate and almost 900,000 light. There is no tsunami threat associated with this earthquake based on its location and available data. And there is where that earthquake, it was right next to them. You see that this Papua New Guinea is a place that has a bunch of large earthquakes. Now the next one, a very strong earthquake registered by the USGS as a 7.4 hit Drake Passage, and I had to look to see where Drake Passage was because I did not know. Near the coast of southern Argentina. On May 2, the agency is reporting a depth of 6.2 miles and reporting the same magnitude and depth. According to the updated tsunami threat forecast, tsunami waves reaching between 3.3 and 9.8 feet above tide level are possible along some parts of the coast of Chile. And Chile is another place where they get some very large earthquakes. And there is where that there occurred at. And there's in the book of Revelation, it talks about earthquakes. And their dead bodies, that's the two witnesses, shall lie in the street of the great city, which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. So that's in Israel. And they are the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies lie 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves. And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry, and shall send gifts one to another, because these two prophets tormented them that dwell upon the earth. In other words, they was trying to get them to repent. And after 3 days and a half, the Spirit of life from God entered into them, and they stood up upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, Come up hither. And they ascended up to the heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. And the same hour there was a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell. And I believe that's probably Jerusalem. And in the earthquake was slaying of men 7,000, and the remnant were affrighted and gave glory to the God of heaven. And we're told when exactly this happens. It's right at the end of the second woe. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe come quickly. Everything in the world is in agitation. The signs of the times are ominous. Coming events cast their shadow before. The Spirit of God is withdrawing from the earth, and calamity follow calamity by sea and by land. There are tempests, a violent windstorm, earthquake, fires, floods, murders of every grade. Who can read the future? Where is the security? Calamities in the city. When God's restraining hand is removed, that's why we haven't had so much of it before. When God's restraining hand is removed, the destroyer begins his work. Then in our cities, the great calamities will come. This is because people do not keep Sunday. No, but because men have trampled upon the law of Jehovah. The Lord is slow to anger. This should inspire the heart with gratitude. The Lord is slow to anger and great in power, and will not at all acquit the wicked. The Lord hath his ways in the whirlwind and in the storm, and the clouds are the dust of his feet. Well, this says that kind of hints that it's going to be Satan, but I have a quote later on that shows that these are also caused by God himself. Now, a severe hailstorm struck Beijing on May 13, 2025, producing hailstones up to 4 centimeters, 1.6 inches, with pretty good size in diameter, that caused widespread vehicle damage, disrupted traffic, and led to flight cancellation. There's 2 of them there, and you'll see someone gathered them. Those are pretty good size hailstones. India flight and Airbus was damaged by a severe hailstorm during its descent into Strangagur, wherever that is. I've never heard of that before, on May 21, 2025. The aircraft carrying 227 passengers and crew was grounded for inspection due to significant nose cone damage. And there is a picture of the nose cone that went through the and there's also a video of the inside that someone took when it was going through this hailstorm. From the windows, I could behold a terrible conflagration. Great balls of fire were falling upon houses, and from these balls, fiery arrows were flying in every direction. It was impossible to check the fires that were kindled in many places were being destroyed. The terror of the people was indescribable. After a time, I awoke and found myself at home. 1906. Heavy rain caused severe flooding across New South Wales, mid-north coast, and Hunter regions on May 20, leading to evacuations and multiple flood rescues. Rivers rose above flood levels, forcing residents in towns like those towns to evacuate. Thousands of homes lost power as emergency services responded to hundreds of incidents. And there's a picture of that flooding. May 1, an EF1 tornado with maximum winds 110 miles an hour struck Barnett County, Texas, at approximately on May 1, 2025. It injured one person, destroying one home and damaging at least 14 others. A second brief tornado touched down over open country later the same day. And we're going to look at some of these tornadoes because there was quite significant damage that was done to them. And so I put the dates up here showing that this wasn't all on the same day. 4 killed, over 3,000 displaced after heavy rain triggers flooding in Accra, Ghana. Heavy rains measuring 5.2 inches hit parts of Greater Accra on Sunday, May 18. The storm caused 4 deaths, with 3 in Abokibi and 1 in Adinta, and forced more than 3,000 people to leave their homes. You see, you can see people walking there. And this here is a capture I took from a video. 3 dead, over 500 homes flooded in torrential rains hit India. The city received 5.1 inches of rain over a 12-hour period. That's coming down pretty fast. Marked the second highest single-day rainfall in May in the past decade. The India Meteorological Department recorded 4.2 inches in the 24 hours ending at 8:30 local time on May 19. It's a lot of rain. And here's a picture. Actually, this is a screenshot from a video of a guy wandering around in his, looked like it was his living room. This is May 6th. At least 5 tornadoes touched down in central Texas on Tuesday, affecting Leon, Millen, Robertson, and Anderson counties. The storm caused widespread damage and 1 injury in Frankson as severe thunderstorms moved through the region. Pictures of it, you can see all the bricks on the house on the back of that truck, the trailer of the truck bed there. May 16, at least 29 tornadoes were reported across 5 states on Sunday, causing widespread damage in Colorado and Kansas. According to preliminary data, at least 16 tornadoes touched down in Kansas, 4 in Colorado, 4 in Oklahoma and Nebraska combined, and 1 in Texas. At least 27 people were killed as a major tornado outbreak struck Kentucky, Missouri, Virginia late in May 16. Nearly 80,000 customers lost power across the central and eastern United States, affecting an estimated 2 million people. In Kentucky alone, at least 7 tornadoes were confirmed, and over 100,000 customers were left without electricity as the storms moved eastward. And if you believe Mrs. White, she says these are going to be coming more closer together and more of them. There's a picture of one of them that's in Colorado on May 18th. And the destruction that some of these caused. This is May 19. A tornado destroyed the Blanco Fire Department and at least 10 homes in Pittsburgh County, Oklahoma on Monday, May 19. The event was part of a broader outbreak that produced over a dozen tornado reports across Oklahoma, Arkansas, Nebraska, leading to widespread structural damage and power outages affecting more than 30,000 customers. That RV has had better days. May 20, a tornado emergency was issued for Huntsville, Madison, and Athens in northern Alabama on May 20. After a large tornado was observed near Athens, the emergency affected nearly 500,000 people across the region. And this was a video shot from a car window. The Savior was at last relieved from the pressure of the multitude and overcame with weariness and hunger. He lay down on the stern of the boat and soon fell asleep. So this didn't just happen to us, it happened to them back then. And we can see how that Jesus resolved it. The evening had been calm and pleasant, and quiet rested upon the lake. But suddenly darkness overspread the sky, and wind swept wildly down the mountain gorges along the eastern shore, and a furious tempest burst upon the lake. The sun had set, and the blackness of night settled down upon the stormy sea. The waves, lashed into fury by the howling winds, dashed fiercely over the disciples' boat and threatened to engulf it. Those fishermen had spent their lives upon the lake, and it guided their craft safely through many a storms, but now their strength and skill evaded nothing. They were helpless in the grasp of the tempest, and hope failed them as they saw that their boat was filling. Absorbed by their efforts to avert themselves, they had forgotten that Jesus was on board. Their cry arises, Jesus, as lightning glare reveals him. They see the peace of heaven on his face. They read in his glance, self-forgetful, tender loving, and their hearts turning to him. Cry, Lord, save us, we perish. And so when we have these things happen to us, there is the answer right there. Jesus Christ is always the answer. Over 100 people were killed in Kasaba village, South Kivu province, Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo. I don't know why I just say it's in the Congo. After the river overflowed following heavy rainfall between May 8th and May 9th. And there's pictures of this coming through between the houses here, and these people standing there watching it. Another picture of it, you can see the buildings here basically is submerged. It reminds me of when that stuff happened in California a couple of years ago. And the stars of heaven shall fall, and the powers that are in heaven shall be shaken. On December 16, 1848, the Lord gave me a view of the shaking of the powers of the heavens. I saw that when the Lord said heaven, in giving the signs recorded by Matthew, Mark, and Luke, he meant heaven. And when he said earth, he meant earth. The powers of heaven are the sun, moon, and stars. They rule in the heavens. The powers of earth are those that rule on the earth. The powers of heaven will be shaken at the voice of God. She puts that future. Then the sun, moon, and stars will be moved out of their places. They will not pass away, but will be shaken by the voice of God. Terrible was the representation that passed before me. That which impressed itself most vividly upon the minds was the instruction given in connection with it. The angel that stood by my side declared that God's supreme rulership and the sacredness of his law must be revealed to those who persistently refuse to render obedience to the King of Kings. Those who choose to remain disloyal must be visited in mercy with judgments, in order that, if possible, they may be aroused to a realization of the sinfulness of their course. And in my words, that means that to be aroused means that they need to be woken up. He's trying to get our attention. Search efforts are underway in Western Australia. We're about region following a bright green-white fireball that streaked across the sky at 05:57 local time on May 11. Perth Observatory estimated the meteor's size to be approximately 5 to 12 or 2 to 5 inches in diameter. It was likely an iron meteor with which its green-orange coloration resulted from frictional heating at speeds, and it shows there 35 to 134 miles per hour. And that's a picture that somebody took of it coming in. And ye shall hear of wars, rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdoms against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. Now we see Earth, there's a lot of earthquakes are in certain places, but according to this here, they're going to be in new places that they haven't been before. That's my interpretation of that. A strong earthquake registered by the EMSC as 6.1 hit Crete, Greece on May 13 at a depth of 44 miles. And no tsunami has been observed as of the latest reports. Now, notice this here is on May 14. And there's where it came, right outside of Greece. Then, that was on the 13th. Again, on May 22, a strong earthquake registered 6.2 hit near the north coast of Greece. On May 22, the agency is reporting a depth of 40 miles. And they measured it as 6.1 at a depth of 47 miles. Now, there's where that earthquake was, right off the coast of it. And this here is earthquakes in Greece in 30 days up till May 22. And you see it there, and there are a couple big ones. So you can see that they have had a lot of earthquake activity in that area. A flash flood emergency was issued for parts of western Maryland on Tuesday, May 13, as floods forced over 200 people to evacuate 3 schools in that county. Meanwhile, a 12-year-old boy in Albemarle County, Virginia, was reported missing after being swept away by floodwaters from a nearby creek. And there is pictures of that flooding, and then another picture of that flooding. I am bidden to declare a message that cities full of transgression, sin cities, that cities full of transgression and sinful in the extreme will be destroyed by earthquakes, by fire, by flood. All the world will be warned that there is a God who will display his authority as God. His unseen agencies will cause destruction, devastation, and death. All the accumulated riches will be as nothingness. So here's a quote from manuscript releases that says, God is the cause of some of this devastation and death. So the people who says that God does not kill, they need to go back and read what Mrs. White has to say about it. This here was what happened in history, and I believe it's going to be repeated. The first ever dust storm warning for the Chicago metro area was issued on May 16, as winds up to 70 miles an hour carried dust into the city. The storm reduced visibility to near zero and affected major routes across Chicago and surrounding areas. And I know George talked about this. There's a picture of it coming in. You see there's a swimming pool there. It's going to have some dirt in it when this is done. 3 eruptions were recorded at this volcano in Japan on May 15, with ash plumes reaching heights of over 13,800 feet above sea level. Ashfall was reported in Kagoshimiya City. I know I'm not pronouncing that right. Reduced visibility on city roads. And you see this picture on the left. This is a screenshot I took of it. And that went way up there in a second. It was real fast, real quick. And the one to the right was after it went up, it kept on coming up and kept on coming up. And here's what it was like when the ash came down. It was hard to drive in, very difficult. The Jaw Fire and Democrat Fire in California, Kern County, have scorched approximately 4,095 acres of land as of May 21. Jaw Fire, the larger of the two, rapidly expanded on May 20, burning over 3,200 acres since its ignition on May 19. Meanwhile, the Democrat Fire has consumed about 895 acres since it started on May 18th. And I did not know that there was a fire outside of Kern County until I read this here. It's up in the mountains. And here is a picture of that fire. Also, wildfires in Minnesota have destroyed at least 140 buildings and scorched over 20,000 acres of land since May 11, prompting evacuations, road closures, and air quality alerts. And there's a picture of those fires up there in Minnesota. And this here is when I read this, it had not happened yet. I posted this on May 21st. A newly discovered asteroid designated 2025 KF will fly by Earth at a distance of 71,222 miles from the center of our planet, not from the surface, from the center. So it's going to be closer to that than us, of our planet on May 21. And here's kind of a picture of it. It looks kind of like it's between the moon and us, and I'm not, because you can't tell the depth on that. It's kind of hard to show that, but those arrows going up, I think that's how they measure the distances that it's going to miss us. This is sometime, and we're talking about asteroids. This sometime in the future we will be hit. This is Revelation 8, the trumpets, and we'll read the 8 through 11. And the second angel sounded, and as it were a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea. And a third part of the sea became blood, and I bet that will cause a tidal wave. And the third part of the creatures which were in the sea had life died, and the third part of the ships were destroyed. And the angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as if it were a lamp, and it fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of waters. And the name of the star is called Wormwood. And the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died of the waters because they were made bitter. And natural disaster losses surpasses 110 billion in the first quarter in 2025, closing in on twice the 10-year average. So as far as natural disasters, 2025 has started out to be a big, huge catastrophe. The wildfires that hit the Los Angeles metropolitan area in January have burned a hole in the pocket of the quarterly figures. These included the Palisades and Eden fires, which together caused over 65 billion in damages and more than 40 billion in insured losses. The Palisades fire alone became the most expensive single wildfire ever for insurers, destroying 6,835 structures. Eaton, on the other hand, is responsible for reducing 9,414 structures to rubble. And this is again from Watchers News, and it was reported on May 9th. As some people know, I know a guy by the name of George Webb. One of his best friends who does podcasts lived in that area. He lost his house. His ex-wife lives right nearby. She lost her house, and his daughter also lost his brother. Anyway, they lost three different families lost their home in that fire. Oh, that God's people had a sense of their impending destruction of thousands a city, now almost given to idolatry. Important events are about to take place. While the world is asking in scorn, where is the promise of his coming? The signs are rapidly fulfilling. While men are crying peace and safety, and yeah, we've heard that, peace and safety, sudden destruction is coming. The Spirit of God is being withdrawn from the earth, and calamity is following calamity by land and by sea. Tempests and earthquakes, fires and floods are heard on every hand. Only in God can security be found. I'm going to read that again. Only in God can security be found. We need to be under that security before these calamities fall. And he spoke to them in a parable. Behold the fig tree and all the trees. And when they now shoot forth, you shall know of your own selves that summer is now nigh at hand. So likewise ye, when ye shall see these things come to pass, know ye that the kingdom of God is nigh at hand. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass away till all be fulfilled. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. And so we say, and I know Brent's talked about it, this generation we will see these all, I believe all of these things happen in this here generation that we're in. Continuing, Satan puts his interpretation on events, and they think, as he would have them, that the calamities which fill the land, U.S., are a result of Sunday breaking. Thinking to appease the wrath of God, these influential men make laws enforcing Sunday observance. And who in the United States makes the laws? Well, that'll be the Congress and the Senate will make these laws. And who are telling them to be? Well, I believe it'll be the Protestants. And when the great deceiver will persuade men that those who serve God are causing these evils, remember that. Those who serve God are causing these evils. This is what they will proclaim. The class that have provoked the displeasure of heaven will charge all their troubles upon those whose obedience to God's commandments is a perpetual reproof to the transgressors. It will be declared that men are offending God by the violation of the Sunday Sabbath, that this sin has brought calamities, and that those who present the claims of the fourth commandment, thus destroying reverence for Sunday, are the troubles of the people, preventing their restoration of divine favor and temporal prosperity. And that's from the Great Controversy. And I believe this is the next to last slide. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that that day should overtake you as a thief. And we got to realize that with Christ on our side, we should not be in darkness. Read that again. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that that day should overtake you as a thief. Ye are all the children of light and the children of the day. We are not of the night, nor of darkness, while we are not to know the hour of our Lord's return. We may know when it is near. And I know people here know that it is near. Therefore, let us not sleep as do others, but let us watch and be sober. That's from the Desire of Ages. And here is the last screen that I have. Dealing with the things that are happening in today's. Now, let me see if I can bring this other video up. Now, I'm going to show this a couple times. This is from the one in Miramar. Now I'm going to go back and show it again. Watch the land over here to the right, on the other side of the fence. See, it moves to, if you didn't see it again, watch it again.
Oh my goodness.
That video was the first time that they showed a fault line actually being made.
Wow.
Because it wasn't shaking, it was just that part of that just moved.
It just slid.
Just slid, and I was thinking from my house cam, or from a video on a house. And so a lot of, unless you go to that site, you have no idea of the amount of destruction that is happening. It's huge.
I can remember we used to have, Daddy would always have me put together things about things that have happened, and every Sabbath or every now and often he'd talk about it. And there was, like really bad things, but they weren't quite all together like these. There's so much in a month. It's like
It's a whole
it is
bunch.
worse and things are going on. It's a crazy.
And it's like that fire in Kings Kearney. I live here. I had not heard about it at all, but on this Watchers.news.
I think Ellen White's prediction is coming true.
Yep.
Almost
And-
every day this month,
And say,
Sarah
oh,
has
she
contacted me to ask for prayer because of the tornado watches.
Yeah.
Almost every day.
Yeah, tornadoes back east. On that one day or 2 days, there was like 27 people that died.
We had so many.
there was a thing on the news. It was really sad. It was I think it was one of them in Kentucky, London, Kentucky. Is that London, Kentucky?
That's one of them.
Couple was hugging each other as it came through, and it just totally destroyed their house. And the neighbors went to find them, and they were hugging each other while it happened, and both of them lost the opposite arm. That's how strong it was. But they lived. I don't know if she's alive. She was not doing very well at all. He did live, but she had lung and different kinds of issues. So say a prayer for her, because how sad it was. He was like a Lutheran pastor, I think it said, or something, and very beloved, and they were hugging each other while it happened. Just
Well, in Central California, in the San Joaquin Valley, we got heat. Once in a while, we'll feel an earthquake, but we don't have that stuff.
Well, we used to go to Missouri every year, and we would stop in Amarillo, Texas for the night. And so we got to this one year, we got to Amarillo and we looked off over to the left, and it was quite a ways over, but there was this tornado touchdown, and it was just going right along with us, the road, and it just kept going and kept going. And so Mother and I'd never seen a tornado before. Daddy asked me and Mother if we wanted to stay in Amarillo or go on, and we both said go on. So anyway, I forgot now what the name of the town is, but we stopped the first town in Oklahoma, and we got in the motel, and a cockroach bit Mother. And boy, if you've never been by a cockroach, you don't know how bad they can hurt.
I've been bitten by a cockroach.
Oh,
What'd you say, Brent?
I was at a really nice hotel in Las Vegas. I was out in the I had a room that had a courtyard right to the pool.
He's affected.
So I was sitting outside, and there's all these cockroaches, big ones running around. I'm just relaxing and and all of a sudden I just feel this pain in my toe. And I look down, and this big roach took a chunk right out of my toe.
Oh,
Oh, they hurt like crazy.
Oh yeah, I went and got my cowboy boots on, and I went on a roach killing spree for the next hour. Stomped everyone I could find. So mad.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we left the tornado behind, found the cockroach.
Yeah.
hey, Keith, you said you're in San Joaquin Valley. Where are you again? In Hartford, or what is it?
Hanford.
Hanford. Okay.
We're just south of Fresno.
Okay.
Hello. Can I say something?
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. Shabbat Shalom. This is your friend Mark here in Baltimore, Maryland, your Jewish friend. You were talking about tornadoes. We had a Friday of last week, May 16th, in downtown Baltimore. We had a bizarre incident. I've never seen this before, historically speaking. But in Baltimore City, there was a small tornado that came in for a certain part of Baltimore, downtown Baltimore City. And it went to an area called Canton, and it actually knocked off the roof of an athletic club. and a couple of tops of some apartment buildings. Now, nobody was hurt or anything like that, thank goodness. But that was bizarre. It's never happened in Baltimore City before. It's a very densely populated area. So I'm just telling you, we're in strange times. I actually heard this on the radio and all that myself Friday afternoon, getting ready for the weekly Shabbat and all that. So I just want to bring out that we're in the last of the last days. You understand what I'm saying? Thank you.
Yeah, also that hailstorm that took out the nose of that airplane.
That's amazing.
That, you know, can destroy cars and houses and roofs and all that stuff if the hailstone, you know, if they get real big like that.
Well, isn't it something at the end is going to be hailstones or something that are going to be like a talent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A talent, depending on where you look, is anywhere from 60 to 120 pounds.
Yeah, they're pretty big.
Oh, it's 60. Can you imagine a 60-pound hail, more than one coming down on your head?
Yeah, they'll kill you.
Yeah, it's supposed to
The
be.
size of a bowling ball or a basketball.
Yeah.
The angel will have to have his wing out there to make it go the other way. Better be praying
You
right
know,
side.
yes, people will be protected from that.
Yep. That he will send it, and he
Yep.
means business. He's warned us for many, 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 many years.
If you're hit, you know you're not one of his.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you very much, Keith. That was a lot of great information. It's a lot going on out
It's
there.
been 4 or 5 years since I did one on the catastrophe. It's been a while.
Yeah, thank you, Keith. That was greatly appreciated.
Yeah,
That video
Thank you for the information.
hearing them all together like that just really makes it become real, because during the year, yeah, okay, it's again and again, but when you hear all that's happened,
And
that's
all those that I presented, except for that one Miramar earthquake, all those was in this month of May.
yeah,
And we're not out of this month of May yet.
no, got another week.
That video was very cool.
Yeah, but people think of California as the earthquake center basically here, which I guess basically it is, but our worst earthquake in the history of the United States was in Missouri, and it was so strong it rung the church bells in Boston.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, Keith, have you heard about that volcano that's supposedly going to go off on the coast of California? It's like a mile wide, and it's going to cause like 10,000 earthquakes, it says.
Well, there's on watchers.net, I did not include any volcano stuff, but there's a couple of those earthquakes was associated with volcanoes. And there was a volcano, I believe it was in Hawaii, they evacuated some people. That was recent, but I didn't include any of the volcano stuff in this here.
I remember Mount St. Helens when it went off.
Yes.
Which is the only, it's not the biggest earthquake in U.S. history, but it's the first one that we've ever been able to observe the before and the after, and have pictures of it before and after, and see how it carved like a Grand Canyon in the 3 days, a little mini Grand Canyon, all the effects of that. But anyway, I remember when it went off, I lived up in Alberta, southern Alberta, and this about a day and a half after it went off, woke up in the morning and all of the cars were covered in about a half-inch layer of soot and ash.
Yeah.
And we were hundreds of miles away. So Sandy, should I start preparing or?
Well, I got done early. I wanted to get that video because that video is quite remarkable.
Yeah.
We saw that one on the news. That they showed it a couple of times, just like you
Yeah.
did, because it was just amazing.
I never saw it before. That was
Just think if you were sitting out in your front of your house and seeing part of the land just move to the right.
Yeah, I know. Wow.
Well, the first earthquake I was ever in was the 52 earthquake that was here. And the daddy looked out and the land was just rolling like this. And one of the teachers at school said her cat would go around every night before he'd go to bed for, I think, was it 3 weeks, and check the walls to see if they were moving.
Wow.
I was in the top floor of a hotel during a very small earthquake, but even that was pretty scary. And I remember going out from my room to the hallway to look around, see if if anybody else was feeling this thing. And I saw a lot of people out in the hall, but they had this huge chandelier that was kind of all open space from the ground all the way to the top floor. You could see all the way down, and just to watch it swaying back and forth and seeing all the other things that were happening. It just, what a feeling and it was a very minor earthquake, but wow, it's yeah, pretty terrifying.
Well, the first one I remember was my dad, mom, brother. We was sitting in, I don't know, it was breakfast or supper, but we was sitting at the kitchen table, and my dad says, "We're having an earthquake," and we sat real still. And we could just see, things moving around.
Yeah.
Well, this one in 52, you didn't have to sit still. You felt it.
Well, you remember the one in Kalinga that destroyed a lot of the Kalinga? That was the 1982 one. It's when I was in my parents' house in the front room, and I was walking across, and I would start going like this here. It was hard to stand up.
Wow.
Because we live about, well, I used to work there. It was 45, 50 miles from Kalinga.
I remember as a kid, I'd be sitting on the floor with my back leaned up against the couch. My mom was sitting on the couch and she'd say, "Stop moving the couch." And I said, "I'm not." I said, "It's an earthquake." She goes, "Oh," and we just go back to doing what we were doing.
But you see, people with tornadoes don't do that.
What's that?
They go and take shelter.
No,
Well, some do.
Some do.
Yeah.
We've
If
lived
you live
through
in
like
that,
3 of them.
Yeah, we've never, well, we did run to the basement for one.
Yeah, the one that came through our property, we actually went to the basement. But usually it's just, okay, sirens are going off, let's watch and see what happens. And usually it's nothing.
Those that live through them,
Yeah.
they get like, we get them so often that it's not much. But one we did run to the basement, it was that bad.
I think it was the one last week or something that was coming up from the south, and it was in Paxton, Illinois. That's where it was. And the warnings were coming out. Get out of your car, hit the ditch,
Yeah.
go to the basement. And I'll go, okay, if it comes this way, we might have to do something. But it went off into Indiana.
You think of those storm chasers that go purposely chasing after the storms.
They're crazy.
Yeah, saying, well, I can withstand the wind, but I remember this comedian saying, it's not that the wind is blowing, it's what the wind is blowing.
Yeah, what's in the wind? Yeah.
Well, it's blowing a Volkswagen at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, like we said, the one that came through our property wiped out 50 trees just
Yeah.
on our property.
And it's really crazy when they come through because they will pick up and move huge things. And then 10 feet away, there could be some tiny little thing sitting and it's not even touched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is really
We had a whole pile of brush in our fire pit, and I hadn't burned it yet. And the tornado went right over it and it was still there when it went past.
Not a twig was moved
Yeah.
out of it. But a huge tree
All
10 feet
over.
away was uprooted